So Vanity Fair has shown us the very first look at Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven in the upcoming Crow reboot, which is scheduled to be released in theaters on June 7th, 2024. And the reaction to it has been mixed at best. Actually, if I'm being honest, the internet is doing what the internet does best, and that's roasting the shit out of this. After seeing the images for myself, I can confirm that they're definitely going for a different vibe this time around. So let's take a look at these photos for ourselves and see if we can't make sense of this. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The original Crow is one of those cult classic type movies that many people hold very near and dear to their heart. Some people even probably consider it to be untouchable when it comes to conversations about reboots and remakes. I will say that I've always kind of felt like The Crow was very much a product of the time it was created in. It has a very 90s themed aesthetic, and in a lot of ways, it feels like a lot of the things that worked about the original Crow would not necessarily translate to modern times.
Don't bother.
And to be clear, I'm not even a huge fan of the original movie like a lot of other people are. I've seen it, obviously, but I've rewatched it very recently, and I have to be honest, it was a lot more campy than I remembered it being. But it's also, again, not something that I watched regularly throughout the 90s. And I know that a lot of people grew up with it and hold it to a very high standard. But I just thought I'd point out that I have no real personal connection to this movie or this franchise, so take that into consideration when you hear my thoughts on these photos. Now, two of the photos that were released feature Eric Draven and his girlfriend or fiance. There's nothing too alarming here. I would say that Eric Draven is clearly rocking a Joker from Suicide Squad damaged look, with many tattoos covering large portions of his body. I just have to wonder how much this plays into the new Eric Draven pre-Crow transformation in this movie. Questions like, is he still a musician? Will there be a more concrete explanation as to why he becomes the Crow in the first place?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
These are the things that we will ultimately find out in the trailer and the final film when the time is right. The picture I want to talk about most is the main reveal. It's what I assume Eric Draven will look like in his final form as the Crow in the film. And yeah, I think this is the one picture that's leaving a lot to be desired in the eyes of some fans. My initial reaction to it is that it kind of reminds me of a discount version of the iconic look from the original film. It looks like the Crow on a budget. It looks like they stripped away a lot of the things that made his original look iconic. Like, I understand that you want this Crow to stand out and be very different from Brandon Lee's Crow, but you also have to understand that maybe a better option would have been to find more balance between old and new look. He just doesn't look like the Crow to me in these pictures.
No, don't like that.
When I see this picture, it makes him look more like a person that the Crow should be fighting than the Crow himself. Obviously, this is a very dark world that he lives in, but what is separating him from the bad guys in this iteration? Abs, I guess? Maybe tattoos? I don't know, this just felt like a very uninspired look to me. I'm willing to wait and see how it plays out in a trailer, or maybe some kind of footage they eventually release, but as of right now, I can't say that I'm impressed. Actually, it seems like most people aren't impressed, because these were some of the responses I saw on just one X post about this reveal. Discussing Film released the photo, and here are some of the responses. Of course, there's a lot of Jared Leto's Joker vibes responses, as I mentioned. Another post said, quote, "Come on, man. If you are the Crow, you have to have long hair." And I happen to agree with that. I think the long hair works better for what is supposed to be this mysterious, avenging angel of a character.
That makes sense.
Another post said, quote, "He looks terrible. Why can't they just go with the original look?" We have another post that says, "Really? Did we need a remake of this? The first one with Brandon Lee was the best one, and the only one that we needed." And I think this is the type of response that I saw most to these pictures. I know that a lot of you feel like remakes are unnecessary, especially with beloved franchises. But that's especially true when you have a reveal of a remake like this That feels very uninspired. It's like if you're going to remake something like The Crow, then at least do something cool with it. At least do something that justifies this movie's existence. And to me, you know something is bad when not even the people on Twitter or X can defend it. We know that these people like to try to overhype mediocrity on a regular basis, because I've made many videos where they're doing just that. But not in this case, apparently, and I guess I'd have to say a little bit of faith restored.
I don't believe it!
I did see a handful of people trying to defend it, like this person, who said, quote, "I mean, it kinda looks like the original from the comics." And in response to them, I would have to say, no, not really. If your post did anything, it just hammers home the idea that the original film actually did it right the first time. It's also kind of amusing to me that people only really care about comic accuracy when it's convenient for the argument they're trying to make. But I do think his argument kind of collapsed on itself anyway, because to me, this resembles the comics in no way. There was more of an aura, of a vibe to the Crow character in the comics, and to me, these photos for this movie are not capturing that. Oh, and by the way, just because there's been a slew of really bad Crow sequels throughout the years, does not give this movie a pass to exist. I don't know who needs to hear that, but it needed to be said.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I've also seen people take issue with the fact that they feel this is disrespectful to Brandon Lee's legacy. And this is the one criticism that I don't think that I'm buying into. I understand that he tragically lost his life making the original film, and that adds some weight to the importance of that film to some people. But on the flip side of that, I do feel like Bill Skarsgård is a capable actor who is capable of pulling this off under the right circumstances. Nobody expected him to reinvent the character of Pennywise in the way that he did, and that ended up working out pretty well. For the Crow, I just feel like he's being put into a difficult situation, because now he is forced to work around this movie having issues, obviously, at the conceptual level. But I do not believe that this movie's existence is disrespectful to Brandon Lee in any way. But I do believe that this is an unnecessary remake that is getting off to a very bad start and convincing people otherwise.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
One final thing I'd like to point out is that the creators of this film have revealed that they took inspiration from such people as Post Malone and Lil Peep when it comes to Eric Draven's new look. Now, I have no idea who the Lil Peep is, nor do I want to know. But what this makes it sound like is that this is what happens when modernizing a film that doesn't need to be modernized goes terribly wrong.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
Y'all be cool. Nah.